A total of 95 moons and counting have been observed traveling within planet Jupiter's orbit. One of these moons in particular, called Europa, has been under uniquely close examination for decades. Since as early as the 1960s, scientists have suspected Europa of containing water, an essential compound for all life as we know it. And in a dramatic development, carbon dioxide has recently been discovered emanating from the moon's surface, and this is considered a hallmark of life. Humanity will watch on ambivalently as NASA plans to launch its first investigative spacecraft in late 2024. So if we discover that we do in fact have company in this universe, will this undermine the worldly religions? To put it simply, not very much. I say this because no matter what a religious person is presented with, they will always find a way to make it fit within their worldview. And this is not meant to be condescending in any way, rather I think it is a strong testament to a person's faith. Conviction is an important quality to have in such a chaotic society. With that being said, many scientific discoveries have challenged religion in the past to no avail. An overwhelming amount of evidence suggesting that the planet's organisms evolved over billions of years, for example, is something that religious people have rationalized by saying our perception of time is much different than God's. So while we may read that the Earth was created over a 6-day period in the book of Genesis, for example, this does not necessarily mean that a day should be constrained to our understanding of a 24-hour period. It is also generally agreed upon that many of the numbers in the Bible are not to be understood literally, but rather symbolically.
But what would you say to people who say that a simple, clear reading of Genesis 1 and 2 is very straightforward, and if you don't get all the skeptical science involved, it's a young earth, literal 24-hour days?
What does the first verse of the Bible say?
In the beginning, God created.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, there was no Hebrew word for universe, so heavens and earth meant the universe. What's the second verse? And the earth was formless and void, right? So the first verse talks about the entire universe being created, and then the second verse zeroes in on earth. What's happened between verse 1 and verse 2? It doesn't even say. And it says, when did God create? In the beginning. Doesn't say when the beginning was.
So I think the better question that we should be asking is, how would the discovery of aliens affect the content of each distinctive theology? And this is a two-part question that is contingent on the complexity of the alien life which is discovered. If a single-celled bacteria is discovered under the ice of Europa, it will yield a much different response than if we were to discover a Leviathan-class life form.
Detecting multiple Leviathan-class life forms in the region. Are you certain? Whatever you're doing is worth it.
The discovery of an advanced intelligence besides our own would no doubt cause many people to leave their religion. Not necessarily because this is the right thing to do, that is up for interpretation, but because the worldly religions place a strong emphasis on the importance of the human species. Humanity is seen as God's chosen species to lead his kingdom on earth. After all, we are created in the image of God, according to the Abrahamic religions. With this perception in mind, another question presents itself. If extraterrestrial intelligent life is discovered, do the contemporary religions leave room for their salvation along with our own? If Christ is the Redeemer of humanity, could he have manifested himself on other planets, while instead opting to incarnate in an alien life form? Is it possible that God purposely withheld from his creation the existence of other life to fulfill an unknown purpose? In 2015, NASA funded a program at the Center for Theological Inquiry in Princeton, New Jersey. This program sought to explore the societal implications that discovery of an alien life may have. A team of 24 theologians were tasked with sifting through this intricate web of perception. This is not a new kind of endeavor for NASA, though, who has been attempting to address these complicated situations since as early as the late 90s, with the discovery of alien life just over the galactic horizon. There are many different responses that have to be considered when delivering such monumental information. Some religious people, for example, interpret extraterrestrial life as being angels or other positive celestial bodies that we have misinterpreted for life forms like our own.
The Rambam does describe even other planetary bodies, planets and stars, as actually having a form of intelligence. And perhaps that could be described as the angels that control those planets and the like. So it depends how you define aliens. If you define aliens as heavenly beings or angelic forms, then certainly there can be, because we do believe that there are many, many, many worlds. There are 4 basic universes, but within that there are hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands or more of all sorts of intermediate worlds, all of which are inhabited by spiritual forces of intellect. So the concept of some type of alien of that nature is very, very much the case.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have people who suspect these entities to be demons.
This is a person I respected tremendously, very, very senior person. He's told me, he said, Lou, I want you to stop doing this. I said, okay, sir, I certainly can, but may I ask why? And he says, well, we already know what it is. Now, at that moment, I honestly thought maybe it was our own technology. I was running up against some super uber secret sap, and they were telling me to stop. And I said, okay, sir, so it's ours? And he said, no, that's not what I'm saying. And he said, he asked me point blank, have you read your Bible lately? And I wasn't quite sure where he was going with that. And I said, well, sir, I think I know what it says. Where are you going with this? And he said, well, then you would know that these things are demonic and we should not be pursuing them.
This theory is often supported in a Christian context by Genesis chapter 6, in which the Nephilim, an unexplained species, are described roaming the earth and impregnating humans. The Hebrew word Nephilim is in most cases translated to giants, but it can also be translated to the fallen ones. This has led to the popular deduction that the Nephilim were fallen angels. Now, this may sound like a bit of a stretch considering Hebrew has many different meanings, but reputable Jewish historian Josephus actually affirms that these are fallen angels in his series Antiquities of the Jews. He says that many angels of God accompanied with women and begat sons that proved unjust, and despisers of all that was good, on account of the confidence they had in their own strength. For the tradition is that these men did what resembled the acts of those whom the Grecians call giants. If one assumes this to be true, there is not much exhortation that can be done to convince them of otherwise. If we happen to be contacted by sentient life other than our own, and they just so happen to descend from the sky, it doesn't necessarily matter if they are hostile creatures or not. When one has a premeditated perception, it all really is reduced to semantics. It becomes a call it what you want scenario. We can be looking at the exact same thing, yet extract different conclusions. Inevitably, we have to also consider the conspiracy theorists, who will interpret this as a front from the government. The most popular theory? Project Bluebeam, which suggests that the government will attempt to stimulate the second coming of Christ in order to manipulate Christian theology, in the process dismantling the largest world religion and probably taking the other major religions down with it. All of this, of course, being done with the aim of establishing a single world religion, a new world order, if you will. So as we can see, a highly polarized society will remain as such in times of great discovery. But hold on, because there's one more angle that we haven't explored. What if the aliens already came? Thus far, we've only explored how religion may be affected by alien life, but what if we only have religion because of alien life? There are two sides to this idea that is often referred to as the ancient astronaut theory. One side holds that we may be the byproduct of an intimate relationship between alien life and early primates, providing a simultaneous explanation for the similarities we share with primates. The other side suggests we may only have been influenced by these alien life forms and not been in direct physical contact with them. Now, a majority of religious people dismiss these ideas as baseless fringe concepts, but at the very least, I believe that they must be considered so that we may offer each other some type of consolation in such a complicated time if alien life is to be discovered. The theory of ancient alien contact is inextricably connected to anachronisms, chronological inconsistencies in archaeological discoveries. These are also known as out-of-place artifacts, or OOPArts. The most famous OOPArt to date is the Antikythera mechanism, which is believed to be the oldest known analog computer ever created. It was found off the coast of a Greek island of the same name, Antikythera, by scuba divers in 1901. The mechanism was salvaged from the remains of an ancient ship, suspected to have sunk during the 2nd century BCE, making it an over 2,000-year-old technology. This device was capable of calculations completely unheard of within its projected time period. It was able to accurately track the 5 planets closest to us, while also accurately predicting the phases of the lunar and solar eclipse cycle. To this day, scientists have been unable to explain how this type of technology would have been produced. Even if we reduce the artifact to its simplest components, it is unclear how the ancient Greeks would have manufactured it without modern technology. The discovery also begs the question, if the ancient Greeks had this capability, why were they not using it to develop other technologies of the same nature? Is it possible they were granted the mechanism by a third party without also being given the resources to recreate it?
can't have something like that without a vast effort behind it. Human beings were working on creating this geared and cogged machinery. It has to have a context. It has to have a background. And again, my suggestion would be perhaps a secret technology. It's very odd that very few of these have been found, and it may be that ship owners and navigators in Greek times were extremely careful about who they shared this technology with. What's behind it? What led to that? Is that just the latest manifestation of something that goes much more deeply back into human culture?
It wouldn't be a proper video on the speculation of alien interference if we didn't consider the greatest and most mysterious human accomplishment of all time: the pyramids. The most popular of them are of course located in Egypt, but I would like to first direct our attention to the pyramids in Mesoamerica. I place emphasis on these pyramids because of the deep connection they had with the indigenous people's theologies. The ancient Aztecs built these as a means of worshiping the gods within their pantheon, particularly their chief god, Huitzilopochtli, god of the sun. Huitzilopochtli was said to require human sacrifice in order to remain pleased with the Aztecs, and the pyramids served as a perfect medium for conducting said sacrifices. A purported 84,000 people were sacrificed in just a 4-day period in the consecration of the Great Pyramid of Tenochtitlan. This extreme behavior shows the lengths that the Aztecs were willing to go to appease their gods. It is clear they were either a blood-hungry civilization using their religion as an excuse to execute thousands of rival tribe members, or they were deeply afraid of these powerful entities which hailed from the skies. A study conducted by the Pew Research Center in 2021 concluded that on average, religious people are 30% less likely to believe in the existence of extraterrestrial life. As we've unpacked in this video, it is hard to say exactly how the public will react in the event that we do make alien contact. When asking this question, we have to consider the complexity of alien life which is discovered, as well as how religious text continues to be re-evaluated as new developments are made in our universe. After all, a corollary of God's power is his omniscience, per the unanimous view of every world religion. If we are to believe that God transcends time, we cannot contain the infallible word to a certain time period. Learning how to relate scripture to each advancement of the species is essential if one's faith is to survive. The Europa Clipper is projected to land in the year 2030. We have just under 6 years to prepare for what could be a confirmation of an assumption that has followed humanity for thousands of years. We are not alone. If you enjoyed this video and would like to gain access to our ever-expanding library of exclusive content, feel free to join the Patreon at the first link in the description. I'm a self-taught theologist who studies the nature of the divine through an objective lens, sharing my findings in a way that I hope will be valuable to people of many different backgrounds. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to have you back next time.